Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Decentralized Chain. It's Feroz bringing you the latest news, reviews and blockchain tech. So today, just before we go into our ICO review, I wanted to firstly give a huge shout out and a massive thank you to all of you who have been sharing, subscribing and liking the content on the channel. I am now officially over 1,000 subs, so that was a personal milestone for me, and I certainly could not have done it without all of your support. So thank you very much. Keep doing what you're doing. I really appreciate it. So in terms of what we're going to be covering today, we are going to be looking at Essentia. And so Essentia is really looking to provide a framework that allows users to have full control over their online identity. So the exact problem that they're trying to solve in itself is, if you look around today, data and platforms are scattered all around. Different parts of the internet are emerging every day as what can only be seen as building blocks. And there's no way for them to really work together easily. So even when it comes to interoperating new technologies with old centralized resources. Furthermore, we have data stored on all these different platforms, but the key message here is, how do we put it together in a cohesive framework? And this is where Essentia comes into play. So the solution from Essentia is really one that is seen as a modular, decentralized, interoperable and data management framework. And whilst it sounds like a mouthful, it is pretty much comprised of two main components. We have essences and synergies. So in essences, entities own their data and interlinking them across multiple services. They can be of individuals, companies, groups or organizations, and effectively they're creating decentralized internet users. So making the interoperability between them also possible by having sub-IDs, permissions, triggers, information relation, as well as smart contracts. And then you've got synergies. So this is really what the connective tissue of operations is. And they link the different platforms, resources and modules together for them to be able to interoperate. And so developers can basically build on top of them, and users will ultimately pay for a leaner, more powerful and efficient application on the Essentia framework that runs across all the best technologies around the globe, as opposed to a single one. And so when we look at the architecture in detail to try and understand how that really works, and by the way, if you don't necessarily like looking at the lower detail in these reviews, in my description what you will find is a timestamp, and you can jump through to the relevant sections that you're more interested in as well. So you don't have to go through the actual detail of the architecture. But as you guys know, I do like going through a decent solid flow or visual diagram just to kind of try and bring it out and explain it to you guys a bit better. So if we have a look at the actual architecture, as I mentioned before, Essentia is a modular framework, and it's bootstrapped from a seed by deriving its extended keys in a hierarchical way, and as well as associating them their related data that are available encrypted on decentralized storage or local copies and backups. And so if we start at the very first layer, which is at the bottom, so that's layer 1, what we have is the seed, and this basically represents the minimum quantity of information that is necessary in order to always be able to access and use connected data, ID, assets, information, and so forth. And basically this bootstraps the framework or parts of it by always expecting the same identical results. So all the data and communications are encrypted by default, and by being the only one who has full control and possession over the seed, the user or machine in this case is the only one with full ownership, access and control over their connected IDs, data assets and more. So if you remember in the previous diagram, we had that flower and then you had the seed in the middle, and then on the outside periphery of the flower you had all the various connected devices. And so ultimately that connection happens, the information about the user is actually stored on the seed, and that flows through into each of those external units to be able to act as a single login almost to those platforms to be able to use them. And so as we then move up further in the layer, we've got number 2, which is the Essentia core module, and really this is the software or hardware that's implemented And it's the core module really that allows the Essentia ID to perform its fundamental and basic operations. So the Essentia ID can really destroy, restore, back up the root ID, or the seed as we referred to it previously. It's also able to sign, verify, encrypt, decrypt the data, and also generate and destroy and manage the sub IDs which have the exact same properties. It also has multi-signature creation and management capabilities. Now, as we then move up, we've got the third layer, which is the Essentia base. And this is really like an interface to the Essentia core API. Only the core touches the keys and the seeds, and the base is able to bootstrap the rest of the system by starting with the Essentia home module and imprinting its data onto it. And then you've got the fourth layer. So this is the Essentia home and operating system. And this layer is basically a trustable, secure, user-friendly operational data environment that can be highly customized by the user. And the user can use the Essentia home and operating system for the purposes as such. And that's, you can see the block sitting on top of it, which can link into it. So these are kind of like extending the framework out, is into trading, developing. You can manage wallets, payments and funds, contributing to the network, maintaining privacy. It allows you to then also further do management of sub IDs, user data, authorization, accounts and logins. So there's plenty of elements that you can hook on to the actual end. And as you can see, it flows all out from the seed, maintaining that data integrity, user integrity and ID integrity all the way throughout to the external applications. So if we actually kind of have a look at the token utility, the token itself actually works like fuel for the Essentia framework by accomplishing several functions. So the token layer and its functionality will gradually be introduced and implemented throughout the development of the Essentia platform. So as more and more functionalities added on into the framework, so will the actual token utility increase in value as well itself. So over time, it's going to work as the fuel that keeps the Essentia platform and framework alive, and it provides the ability to also access, maintain, or use some specific components, features, or services. So we've got, it can act as an anti-spam measure, which basically prevents the abuse of resources or services. It can be used to pay for extra internal resources. It can also have uses to pay for renting additional decentralized third-party resources connected to Essentia. You can also be used to pay for generic but trusted third-party services connected to the Essentia framework. We've also got uses around paying for extra goods and services and content, so fees on the in-house Essentia DApp center, so the marketplace that they're going to have. Then also, when someone offers a dedicated or additional resource to the network, they can also be compensated by the Essentia token by other users as well. Now, in terms of looking at how long we need to wait before we actually see the actual platform being rolled out, the roadmap is very detailed. They've kind of split it up over software, hardware, and public over various quarters, and it does go into 2019. Now, the main takeaways really from here is that the mainnet is due for Q4, and so at which point the initial tokens, which will be issued as ERC20 tokens, will then be swapped over to the Essentia blockchain. However, the roadmap does go into other various details which I would suggest you check out, as well as a number of public roadmap or milestones which really look to raise its awareness. Certainly think that they've got a very detailed roadmap. They've thought about what it is, because really if you look at it, what they're trying to do is absolutely huge in terms of being able to connect to multiple blockchains, multiple devices, multiple apps as well. So certainly worth checking out. Now, in terms of looking at the team consists of 4 founders, one being anonymous. So we have Matteo, who's the project lead. He's been an advisor in the blockchain space since 2014, has had also experience in founding and running companies, as well as published books on Amazon, both noted as being best-selling. We've got Mirko, who's the product lead, background in digital marketing, going by LinkedIn, as well as having team management experience. And then we've also got Vladimir, operations lead, background also in digital marketing, and founded U and Web along with Matteo. Now, there is also a blockchain and architecture lead who's the CTO. However, I've been unable to verify anything as they have chosen to remain hidden. Now, going by LinkedIn, the founding members who are visible have around 7 to 8 years experience. Whilst it certainly isn't a long length of time, they have managed successful businesses, and I will certainly expect to have the know-how in order to manage the teams to deliver. Now, what I do like is that the team is surrounded by a very large dev team who appear at face value capable, and there are about 20 members in total, 15 in the dev team and 5 in design team, with skills ranging from front end to back end, Python, blockchain, JS, Node.js, as well as UX and UI. So I'm certainly quite impressed by the team size as well as the actual skill set that's complementing that team as well. And then furthermore, we also have an additional 9 members providing business and social media and community support, which is key. So the founders have definitely thought about social media, being from a digital marketing background, and also have the community managers for Korean languages also, which I like the sound of. Certainly helps in terms of being able to spread the message across internationally, because things can get lost in translation if one of your markets doesn't necessarily have English as their first language. Now, moving on, we also have advisors. We have an additional 6 advisors supporting the project. So Mo Levin. So Mo is also the co-founder of the first accredited blockchain academy, an early investor in RSK Labs, LabFresh, and Dropbox. Mo was also responsible for launching one of the first venture-backed Bitcoin startups, which raised around $30 million from Richard Branson. We've then got Eric, who is an advisor to the European Commission and a certified business coach. So for innovative startups in the European Horizon 2020, as well as the EA SME program. Then as we move on, we've got Tom Graham. So he's the managing partner at TLDR, which is a crypto advisory firm and hedge fund that works with ICOs like QuantStamp. He's also the co-founder of Codec AI, an award-winning ad tech firm that uses artificial intelligence so that brands can make impactful content marketing decisions, as well as a graduate of Harvard Law School. So certainly an impressive background. Then we've also got Jan Martson, so presently responsible for strategic sales at Motorola Solutions. And then as we move on, we've also got Ishmael Malik, a member of the board of Icon Foundation, well over 2 decades worth of experience in technology related startups, entrepreneurships covering cryptocurrencies, mobile payments, as well as the founder of Blockchain Lab. And lastly, we also have Ran Nunua. In 2017, Ran actually launched the world's first televised cryptocurrency show called Crypto Trader, which is aired weekly on a Thursday night at 8:30 on CNBC Africa. So this, I think, is quite key because it really does give you that visibility and awareness. I mean, someone presenting on CNBC Africa for a crypto related show and also an advisor for this particular platform can do wonders in terms of getting the message out there, in terms of raising the awareness as well. So I certainly like that, and I think it's very key alongside the strong advisors that we already have as a whole. Now, Ran also is the founder of On-Chain Capital, a crypto asset fund and advisory service. And in addition, Ran also ranked in the top 10 most influential people in the blockchain by Richtopia. So all advisors can certainly bring this ISO to a wide audience and provide significant awareness. Now, moving on, looking at token metrics. So they are looking to raise around $25.5 million for a 35% token supply. Now, personally, I would have liked to have seen more around the 40-45%. But this roughly puts the cost of the token at around 4 cents. And then if we kind of have a look at the actual distribution, we have 20% as reserves, 15% node rewards. So they could be forgiven for having 35% token sales, as the node rewards will come back to those who are supporting the infrastructure. And then we have a further 10% for founders, 9% for advisors, and 7% for the team, as well as 4% for advisors, bounty, and referrals. Now, what I really like is in terms of the vesting period, they sound very reasonable and should, in my opinion, stabilize any type of dumping effect when these tokens hit the exchanges. So for private sale participants, they will receive 70% of their tokens within 7 days of the token sale ending, and the remaining 30% and their bonus they will receive in 6 equal installments over the course of 6 months. As for the founders, the tokens are locked for 18 months with 6-month cliffs. And for advisors, the tokens are locked for 6 to 12 months with also 6-month cliffs. Now, in terms of the awareness and hype, they are spread across a number of social media outlets. So if we start off with Twitter, we've got around 17,500 followers. We've also got Facebook presence. We have a Telegram with around 32,000 users, which is a significant number. We've also got LinkedIn, and I quite like this because in LinkedIn, they've got all their employees, you know a bit more about the company, and so I quite like that they're kind of pushing out on the professional front as well, so that's really good. We've also got Medium coverage for articles within Medium. We've also then got Bitcoin Talk forums. We have GitHub. We have Quora, which is a first because I haven't seen, well, certainly the ICOs that I've been reviewing, I haven't seen them have a Quora page. So this is really good as well. And then we've also got Reddit. And then lastly, we've got a YouTube page in order to showcase videos and demos as well. So I like the sound and the look of all of that. Now, in terms of my final thoughts, I've given the project a 4. I quite like the actual modular framework model that they've got going on here. You know, the actual framework ultimately expands to fit a growing decentralized life. So as you get more dApps and platforms and wallets at a push of a button, they can ultimately be plugged in. And then the other element that I like about this is that it's scalable. So, you know, you've got high throughput, allows Essentia to kind of support millions of users simultaneously. You've got the whole full data ownership element. You know, it's your data, your property, you take the power back and regain control. It's your identity at the end of the day. And then more importantly here, what we've got is multi-chain and multi-device. So Essentia supports different blockchains, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, and many more. So as you can see in the back here, we've got a host of blockchains as well as dApps that it will support from the get-go. And so this is quite important because clearly you now have quite a few valid use cases and common platforms that this can be used with. And we'll explore some of these in the actual demo a bit later on. And then we've also got the all-in-one seed approach. So here you've got one secure seed, you've got countless applications as you've seen in the previous screen. And ultimately Essentia acts as the key to be able to unlock and seamlessly use those platforms from having one seed. And then more importantly is what we have is KYC and GDPR. And so that's all baked in by default. And really that helps to conform to the enhanced verification procedures safely without risking your data or privacy, both for companies and users. In fact, we can see some real world use cases from an individual's perspective. In fact, you can have decentralized passwordless logins. Users can e-login to seamlessly log into websites and dApps without the use of insecure passwords. And if we look at KYC registrations, well, the compliance services can seamlessly accept new clients and securely store their data decentralized. If it's all done in one point, i.e. that the KYC is associated already with the seed or that user, then just by logging in and participating in whichever platform you need to, the KYC is already done because it's done at one point and it's already been validated. And then if we look at it from a company's perspective, one of the biggest use cases is EU General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR compliance as it's known for. Now, this is an EU mandate that came in 2018. Ultimately, it pretty much gives power back to individuals like us in terms of we have a say-so in terms of what companies can do with our data, what access they have to our data, and ultimately when we leave a company, taking that data with us. So they have to abide by these regulations. And so companies in need of GDPR compliant solutions can use Essentia because the users can just request the removal of their data from the app, from the dApp, whatever it may well be. So ultimately the action is publicly verifiable, so people can see that a request has been made, so therefore they should have removed the data from their platforms. And so I quite like the sound of that in terms of certainly helping some of the more recent real world use cases, because companies that are not really complying with GDPR will find themselves facing a very hefty fine, and quite a big fine to that extent. The other element that I really wanted to sort of touch on is the prototype. I've given that a 5, and here's the reason why. So you can actually go into their website and log in to the actual platform and try it out. So if you click on try Essentia, what that then does is it presents you with the welcome to Essentia login screen, and you can just go ahead, click on get started, create yourself a password, log in, and what you're then presented with is, first of all, that it's sort of generating your essence or your ID. And here you've got backup access methods, so you can show your mnemonic phrase, show the seed, you can save the actual key store file. And then here what they have is what they call the launch pad. And so on the very top, what you've got are all the dApps and tools that have been added to Essentia. So this is ultimately allows you to open these and log into those applications from your Essentia platform. So ultimately it's just one login, one ID, one verifier basically. And here, if we kind of open up the wallet, for example, you've got all the various wallets that are supported. So this is links into the blockchains. And if you click on a specific wallet, then what that then does is it presents you with that wallet address. So you can actually make live deposits in here, and this will all pick it all up. If we then go back to the actual storage section, so here we've got integration to IPFS, Swarm, Storage, and so here you can just go ahead and upload the files into these various blockchains. So you kind of have all that extended access without having to singularly do these actions in each of these specific dApps or platforms. So it's quite interesting the way they've done this. And really, as they increase their presence and as they increase the dApps and platforms, this really can potentially become the one-stop shop for you to be able to access other blockchains, other dApps, other tools with a single ID. So I quite like the look and the sound and the way that they're going with that. And then additionally, you've got dApps here. So these are the ones that have not yet been added to your Essentia ID. So all you need to do is click on add, and then those then go in, and ultimately allows you to then interlink into these actual dApps as well. So check out the prototype. They've also got a really good walkthrough of the demo on their YouTube site, so certainly worth a look. Now, in terms of moving on and looking at the team, I like the team. I would have liked to see more blockchain experience across the founding teams of the founding members, and also it was hard to validate the experience of the CTO. However, I do like that they have a large team, lots of developers, UX, UI, business operations to complement, which also shows the experience of the founding members knowing that they need a full complement of skills to support them. In terms of the advisors, I've given that a 4. They have some significant advisors well versed in the blockchain space, as well as a very strong community behind them, which will certainly help with raising the awareness of the project and getting communities to sort of back that project as well. And then for token metrics, I've given it a 3.5. It's a decent supply. I mean, hard cap's okay at 25.5 million, even though they are only selling 35% of the token supply. They are also distributing an additional 15% in nodes. And what that means really is that Essentia will implement masternodes with a total block reward corresponding to the 15% of the total supply of tokens. So here really it's a proof of stake mined over the course of the next 7 years, and they also get fees for each of the blocks. So each masternode will require around 100,000 tokens to be locked in, and so that would cost most probably somewhere in the region of around $4,000 if you kind of go by the ICO price. And they're expecting at least 2,000 nodes in order to kind of support the infrastructure and the network. Every block reward will be 10 seconds. So it's a good way for those to earn passive income whilst they're also providing infrastructure support to the actual platform itself. In terms of hype and awareness, I've given that a 4. They have significant coverage over Twitter, Telegram, as well as other social presences. So there is significant hype and awareness behind it. The Telegram group has around 32,000 users. That's huge. 17,500 followers on Twitter. So, you know, this is really good numbers to be able to see, and certainly will help with the hype and awareness of the platform. and the project. Now, I also liked that they had the LinkedIn page with all the employees too. I've seen that around a fair bit, but it was just nice to kind of see all the employees in one place and the Essentia ICO as well as all the founders listed. So it just kind of helps you relate a bit better to the actual platform. So there you have it, guys. If you have enjoyed the review, please give it a like and share. And if this is your first time here, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button. See you soon, guys.